There exists a profound paradox in the way your person appears to the world, and more importantly, to you. On the surface, they may seem cold, distant, perhaps even indifferent to your existence. They wear a mask of detachment so convincing that you might question whether they ever truly cared at all. But I need you to understand something crucial. Beneath that carefully constructed facade lies a heart that is drowning in emotion, suffocating under the weight of feelings too immense to express. They are suffering in ways that remain invisible to you, tormented by a love so powerful that it terrifies them into silence. What you see is merely the protective armor they've built around themselves. What you cannot see is the battlefield that rages within their soul every single day. Their heart beats with an aching longing for you that never ceases, never quiets, never grants them even a moment of peace. The truth that they hide so desperately is this: their love for you runs deeper than the deepest ocean, more vast than the endless sky, more consuming than any force they have ever encountered. It is a love that defies their ability to articulate it, that overwhelms every attempt they make to give it voice. They are trapped in a prison of their own making, unable and perhaps unwilling to communicate what burns so fiercely inside them. Every single time they gather the courage to reach out to you, fear rushes in like a tidal wave and drowns their resolve. They sit with their phone in trembling hands, composing messages that pour forth from the deepest chambers of their heart. They choose each word carefully, crafting sentences that attempt to capture even a fraction of what they feel. They write and rewrite, their fingers hovering over the keyboard as tears blur their vision. But then, just before pressing send, panic seizes them. Their breath catches in their throat. Their heart pounds against their ribcage like a prisoner desperate to escape. And in that moment of paralyzing terror, they delete everything. Word by word, sentence by sentence, they erase the vulnerability they almost dared to show you. They do this not because the words were untrue. Quite the opposite. They delete these confessions precisely because they are so achingly, devastatingly true that the thought of your potential rejection feels like it would destroy them entirely. The mere possibility of you not responding, of their message disappearing into the void of silence, or worse, of you reading their heart and choosing to turn away, this thought alone feels like a knife plunging directly into their chest, twisting slowly, leaving them gasping for air. That fear is so overwhelming, so all-consuming, that it shatters whatever fragile confidence they manage to build. And so they retreat back into their fortress of silence, suffering alone in the darkness, convinced that this pain is somehow safer than the risk of reaching out to you. But make no mistake about what is happening in the privacy of their inner world. They are utterly, completely, hopelessly obsessed with you in ways they can neither control nor fully comprehend. The love they carry for you is greater, more powerful, more all-encompassing than anything they are willing to acknowledge, even in the quiet conversations they have with themselves in the dead of night. This love has become the lens through which they see everything, the background music to every moment of their existence. They watch you from whatever distance separates you, their eyes following your movements when you are near, their thoughts tracking you when you are far. They keep close tabs on your social media presence, scrolling through your posts with a hunger that both shames and compels them. Every photograph you share, every update you post, every glimpse into your daily life becomes a precious treasure they examine and re-examine. Each post transforms into a small window through which they can feel some tenuous connection to you, even if that connection exists only in their imagination, only in the silent space of their yearning heart. The magnetic pull they feel toward you is so intense, so powerful, so utterly inescapable that it keeps them awake through the long, lonely hours of the night. They lie in darkness, tossing and turning, their mind replaying memories of you like a film on an endless loop. They remember the unique sound of your voice, the way certain words sounded when they left your lips. They recall the warmth of your presence, how the air itself seemed to change when you entered a room. They remember the way you once made them feel truly seen, truly understood, perhaps for the first time in their entire life. These memories haunt them, beautiful and torturous in equal measure. No matter how desperately they try to redirect their thoughts, no matter how hard they attempt to move forward, they cannot quiet the pull that keeps drawing them back to you. It is as though an invisible thread connects your souls, and no amount of physical distance can sever it. They are tethered to you in ways that transcend logic, that defy their attempts at self-preservation. Yet beneath all that intense longing lies something even more painful, a constant, gnawing worry that refuses to release its grip on their heart. They live in fear that you might change your mind about them completely, that whatever feelings you once held have already dissolved into nothing. They are haunted by the terrible idea that their lack of action, their persistent silence, their failure to be brave when bravery was needed most has pushed you too far beyond their reach. They torture themselves with visions of you moving on, of you finding happiness with someone else, of you forgetting that they ever mattered to you at all. When they made the decision to walk away, they convinced themselves they were doing something necessary, something right. Perhaps they told themselves they were protecting you. Perhaps they believed they were protecting themselves from inevitable pain. Perhaps they thought that distance would bring clarity, that separation would heal whatever felt broken. But they never, not for a single moment, anticipated the crushing emptiness that would follow in the wake of their departure. The separation that they once believed they could endure, that they thought they were strong enough to bear, has proven to be utterly unbearable. The absence of your presence in their life gnaws at them constantly, creating a level of pain and anxiety they were completely unprepared for. It is a hollow ache that follows them through every hour of every day, a wound that refuses to close, refuses to heal, refuses to grant them any relief. Now, looking back at the choices they made, they are filled with horror at their own foolishness. They see with devastating clarity how wrong they were, how misguided, how blind to what truly mattered. A deep, soul-crushing remorse has taken up permanent residence in their heart. They feel profound regret for the way they treated you, for the precious words they never said, for the moments when they allowed pride or fear or stubborn self-protection to dictate their actions instead of letting love guide them. That regret has become a weight they carry everywhere, a constant reminder of what they lost through their own choices. What they feel is not simply sadness or disappointment. It goes far deeper than that. It is a restless, relentless yearning that refuses to be silenced by logic or time or distance. They crave you in a way that encompasses every dimension of human experience, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. This pull they feel toward you shakes them to the very foundation of their being. At times, the love that consumes them feels almost otherworldly in its intensity. It seems to transcend ordinary human emotion, to exist on a plane beyond the normal bounds of romantic feeling. It is raw and untamed, powerful beyond measure, infused with a spiritual quality that diffuses through every fiber of their being. This love is so overwhelming, so vast, so all-consuming that it genuinely frightens them. Yet despite their fear, despite their desperate attempts to rationalize it away or diminish it or control it, they cannot deny its existence. It is as real as their own heartbeat, as undeniable as their need for air. What makes this situation all the more agonizing for them is watching you maintain your distance. They notice with painful clarity the walls you have carefully constructed, the protective space you have created between yourself and them. And though they understand why you have done this, though they recognize that these barriers are the natural consequence of their own actions, it still hurts more deeply than words can express. Every step you take away from them feels like a punishment they know they deserve, yet cannot bear to endure. They are acutely aware that they are the one who initiated this terrible separation. They are the one who let fear and pride create this rift between you. And now they find themselves caught in a cruel twist of fate that feels almost like poetic justice. The very person who pulled away, who created distance, who chose silence over vulnerability, is now the one who aches most intensely for connection, who would give anything to close the gap they created. Each day feels like an exhausting battle between burning desire and crushing despair. They want nothing more than to bridge this divide, to end the painful stagnancy that has settled between you like thick fog. But fear continues to paralyze them, keeping them frozen in place just as it did before. They rehearse conversations in their mind, practicing what they would say if they could only find the courage to reach out. They imagine hearing your voice again, picture your face as you receive their confession, dream of your forgiveness washing over them like healing rain. And yet, the same terror that silenced them before continues to hold them captive. They remain trapped in this exhausting cycle, writing messages they never send, hoping for courage that never comes, longing for you while simultaneously retreating from any real action. They are caught on a wheel of their own design, spinning endlessly between desire and fear. But in the deepest chambers of their heart, they know the truth with absolute certainty. The love they carry for you is unlike anything they have ever known or ever will know again. It is deep beyond measure, raw beyond expression, and unshakable despite all their attempts to move past it. It is a love that awakens their soul in ways that both exhilarate and terrify them. It breaks them open, exposing vulnerabilities they did not know existed, revealing depths of feeling they never imagined possible. At times they wonder if this connection between you transcends the ordinary bounds of human relationship. They question whether there might be something fated about it, something spiritual that ties your souls together across time and physical distance. This thought brings them both comfort and torment in equal measure. It comforts them because it validates the intensity of what they feel, assuring them that this is not merely infatuation or delusion, but something profoundly real and significant. Yet it torments them because they do not know if they will ever find the strength to act on these feelings, to transform this silent suffering into courageous action. And so they continue to endure this private hell, caught between the paralyzing fear of rejection and the desperate, consuming need to be near you once again. They are haunted daily by the pain of separation and by the knowledge that they created this situation through their own choices. Yet simultaneously, they are sustained by a fragile hope, the hope that somehow, despite everything, there might still be a chance to mend what was broken, to rebuild what was destroyed, to begin again. For now, they remain in this state of restless yearning, silently praying for a moment when they will finally find the courage to express the truth their heart has been screaming all along, that they love you more deeply than any words could ever capture, more completely than any action could ever demonstrate, and that without you in their life, they feel fundamentally incomplete, as though an essential piece of their soul is missing. There are moments of painful self-awareness when they catch themselves in the act of self-sabotage, when they hear themselves saying something stupid or hurtful, and even in that very moment, they recognize that they are only making everything worse. It is like watching themselves from outside their own body, observing as they push the situation further and further downhill, yet feeling powerless to stop the descent. They catch themselves taking their inner turmoil out on you, not because you deserve such treatment, but because they simply do not know how else to process the chaos that rages inside them. And then, when the storm passes and silence settles, they are left with this heavy, suffocating feeling of being stuck in place. They do not like how it feels. They recognize it as destructive and wrong. Yet despite this awareness, they struggle profoundly to change their patterns, to break free from these self-destructive cycles. It hurts them deeply to watch you moving forward with your life, stepping into deeper and more meaningful levels of this spiritual journey while they feel left behind at the starting line, unable to keep pace. They observe you growing, maturing, embracing life and its responsibilities with such grace and wisdom while they continue to wrestle with their own immaturity, their own unresolved issues, their own inability to evolve at the same rate. When you interact, your maturity and inner calm stand out so clearly to them, creating a mirror that forces them to see the childlike and reactive ways they sometimes respond to life's challenges. In your presence, they feel exposed, as though their lack of development is written across their face for all to see. They often feel ungrounded, as if they have not yet grown into the person they know they need to become, the person they desperately want to be. One of the things that amazes them most about you is the way you have mastered the art of lightness, the ability to move through life with grace and balance. You understand how to receive challenges without letting them crush you, how to face difficulties without losing your center. You carry yourself with an equilibrium that seems almost effortless, while they still struggle with intensity, with worry, with taking everything too seriously. They feel childish in their tendency to overthink every situation, to spiral into anxiety over things you simply breathe through with ease. That contrast highlights their insecurities in the most uncomfortable ways, forcing them to confront aspects of themselves they would rather ignore. But alongside those painful insecurities exists something far more important, far more transformative. The truth is that they have learned profound lessons simply by observing you, by witnessing how you move through the world. You do not preach or lecture. You do not force your wisdom on anyone or make demands that others follow your path. You simply exist as yourself, and in that authentic existence, you demonstrate what it truly means to be real, genuine, and unapologetically true to who you are at your core. There is no fakeness in you, no pretense, no performance. You have no desire to show off or prove yourself to anyone. You do not brag about your growth or your strength. You simply embody these qualities naturally, and in that natural embodiment lies such power, such beauty, such quiet confidence, such fearless authenticity that it takes their breath away. Even after all the turmoil and challenges you have faced, and they know you have faced many, you walk with your head held high, fully grounded in yourself and your truth. You carry a quiet strength that does not demand attention or recognition, yet somehow commands respect from everyone who encounters you. That strength radiates outward in everything you do, touching everyone around you, and it inspires them more than you could possibly know. Your example makes them want to rise higher, to reach for better versions of themselves, even when their insecurities and fears hold them back like weights chained to their ankles. You remind them through your mere existence that being strong is not about never falling, never failing, never experiencing pain or defeat. True strength, they have learned by watching you, is about how you rise after every fall, how you rebuild after every destruction, how you continue forward even when continuing seems impossible. One of the greatest and most life-changing lessons they have absorbed from you is this fundamental truth: in life, we truly only have two choices before us. We can sit in our pain, dwell endlessly on our wounds, and play the role of the victim, constantly replaying our struggles, our traumas, our sadness like a record that skips on the same heartbreaking note forever. Or we can make the harder choice, the braver choice, the choice that requires everything from us: to heal, to rise from the ashes, and to begin again from absolute scratch. That choice, though simple to state in words, requires immense courage, unwavering faith, and a willingness to walk into the unknown. And you have shown them through your own journey that such transformation is not merely theoretical or aspirational. It is possible. It is real. Healing can happen. Starting fresh is not the end of the world as we know it, but rather the beginning of a new world, perhaps a better one. They recognize that their own learning process looks very different from yours. Their path appears messier, less graceful, considerably slower and more painful. They stumble frequently, falling into the same traps of doubt and insecurity again and again. But despite these struggles, they are still learning, still moving forward in their own imperfect way. Even if their progress feels like crawling while yours looks like flying, even if the distance between your respective journeys seems vast and insurmountable, they can feel growth happening within themselves in small, subtle ways. Yet they must admit that managing their emotions remains a constant challenge. There are difficult moments when jealousy rises up within them like bile, not because they hate you or wish you ill, nothing could be further from the truth, but because they desperately want what you have. They crave that sense of freedom you embody, that inner calm you have cultivated, that genuine happiness that radiates from your being. They want to feel whole and light the way you do. But right now, in their present reality, the pieces of their life do not feel fully aligned or in place. That gap between where they currently are and where they long to be creates intense insecurity within them. And in those moments of painful self-awareness, that insecurity manifests in ways they truly wish it would not, through bitterness that they cannot quite conceal, through weariness that colors their interactions, through unnecessary emotional distance that they create as a form of self-protection. Still, they need you to understand something crucial. Beneath those surface-level emotions that occasionally emerge in ugly ways, their higher self, their truest self, is genuinely and deeply proud of you. At the soul level, they celebrate every aspect of your growth, every one of your accomplishments, every demonstration of your strength. Your evolution inspires them profoundly, even when facing your progress forces them to confront their own shortcomings in ways that sting deeply.